Yo, what's good, YouTube? This is Jay from TNJ. And make sure you hit that like button because this episode is going to be unlike any episode we've ever done. This is the first time we're going to do this, and it's going to happen every single season. So you guys don't want to miss this. This is the prospect episode where we get to see our custom recruits, who's made the recruiting board, who didn't. And to start this episode out, we first need to look at our prospect map. So you can see where the pins are. We have targeted a few prospects, mostly from the east. You see we did get one prospect in Washington up here, and then one down here in Arizona. But besides that, all of our recruits are pretty much in the east this year. We decided to stick in the east. We got to get these guys. It's kind of easier to recruit in the east than it is in the west because we know the proximity to home is important to a lot of these guys. So looking at our current pipeline states, we do have Georgia. We have 9 people on our team right now from Georgia, 18 from Alabama, and then we have 14 from Florida. And Florida is going to be an important state because we do have a couple of good prospects we do want to get onto our team come next season. But we know what's interesting, North Carolina or South Carolina are not pipeline states. We're going to try to make those pipeline states, hopefully get a few guys from there. And then we have a couple of Midwestern states here we're going to try to go after. So in this episode, it's going to be pretty cool. I can't lie. It's pretty cool. And we're going to get into some in-depth highlights, some lowlights, and we'll get to see, how these guys look in high school before they step on the campus. This is the first time we're doing this, so I want you guys to sit back and enjoy this episode because this is a lot different. I'm hoping that you guys really like this because this was exciting to put together, and I'm excited for you guys to see this come to life. So without further ado, let's get into the recruits, and let's just see how they're looking in high school. So sit back and enjoy, kick your feet up. It's going to be a good one, so stay tuned. Let's get it. Let's get into these recruits. Steve Smith has some connections, and our scouting department did a good job of finding a guy that pretty much has been overlooked his whole career, and that's 6', 187 DJ Warren. Check him out. So offensive coordinator Steve Smith, his main mission in this offseason after season 1 was to recruit receivers. And he's a former receiver, so he's going to try to get guys that are similar to his playing style, and he wants tough guys. He doesn't want guys that are just like speed demons, like absolute speed demons and can't do anything else. He wants guys that can do everything. And that's one thing that he predicated his game off of doing, is being a good blocker, being a good receiver, and he knows that we do need a versatile set of receivers, and that's one thing that's rated pretty low, and it's a need on our team. So he decided to go up to Washington first off and look at a guy that's, they say it's more of a Wes Welker type, but the more and more Steve Smith looked at him, he thought he was more of like him. And that man is Jonathan Reed III out of Seattle, Washington, the number 290 wide receiver in the nation. So he's definitely overlooked, but at 5'9", 190, he can run routes. He's a good route runner. He has good acceleration. He's not very strong, but one thing he does do is he can catch the ball pretty well in traffic, but he does need to work on a couple of things with his footwork. But I think for the most part, for a high school senior, he's doing pretty good, and I think he's a guy that we need to look forward to. Being in a spread system, you don't have to be as accurate with your throws, and a lot of times throwing to wide open receivers, it kind of gives you a better base as far as completing passes, but he just needs to work on a lot of things. He's never played under center. He's always played from the shotgun. So seeing him come into South Carolina in Conway, I think it's going to be a big adjustment, but he's raw. He can get redshirted. He has the potential to be great, and we'll see. He doesn't have the greatest speed, but he has a great arm, so we'll see how he does. Now look, Sean Johnson is a burner. I mean, he has speed for days, and he's our fastest prospect we have on our recruiting board, and for good reason. He's in Texas, and everything's bigger in Texas. He's a home run hitter if there ever was one, and he's kind of touted as a power guy, but I don't see it. I don't see the power at all. He's got pure speed, 6 foot, 185. He's not huge, and he's not small either. So he's going to be a guy that we need to keep our eye on. He is amazing with the ball in open space. I mean, he's a okay receiver. He's not a great receiver, but if you give him a toss play, look out. He might be off to the races. So this is going to be probably our most athletic guy we have on our board as far as offense goes, and he's going to round out our offensive recruiting board. Now let's focus on our defense. And that brings us to probably the most boomer bust player we have on our board, Trey Jefferson. Check him out.
That can make goodbyes seem like anything else but what is.
So now we go back down to the state of Florida, and I swear John Beeson just raves about this guy, James Burks. Check him out. Away. So look at him. He's going to be big in our future, and that takes us to a guy that I need. When I saw him play, I was just I couldn't believe my eyes. Let's check out Adam Jones.
We want to win. So looking at a few recruits that did lock us out before looking at our final recruiting board ranking, Taylor Leotis
Latolias is actually a pretty good fullback. He's a power guy, but you know what really caught my eye with him is that he can play defense. He can actually play defense, and he was a guy that I could possibly move over to the defensive side of the ball because he's got the power. He could have been on a defensive end, but he did lock us out. The next guy was Jacob Walsh. He was a run blocking guard out of Little Rock, Arkansas, 6'3", 230. He was a guy that I thought would be pretty good as a freshman coming in as an offensive lineman. Give him a redshirt year or two. He could have been maybe competing for the starting job, but he did lock us out. Then on our recruiting trip to the Northeast, we also saw Bernie Coffey, a punter. We actually saw him punting in an open field. We went to go talk to him, and it turned out he was a senior, but he wasn't looking to go too far from home, so he's looking at the University of Massachusetts, and that's just too bad. So looking at our final recruiting board, here is what it's going to look like. So our number one recruit is going to be London Welshman from Conway, South Carolina. He's 6'4", 225, and he's a beast, man. I mean, I can't lie. He's a beast. You can see his ratings right here. He doesn't grade out to do anything really great, but he's going to be just an all-around ball hawk type of guy, and I'm looking forward to him in the future. James Burks is going to be a defensive tackle here, coming in the number 126th ranked defensive tackle. I don't know how. At 6'3", 330, he's just got a bunch of power, and like I said earlier, he can block shed with the best of them, and he's definitely overlooked. And then Adam Jones, who I was just drooling over when I saw him. He's a man coverage guy. I mean, 85 man is going to be our highest man coverage cornerback we've probably ever recruited as a one-star, so it's going to be good to see him going forward. Moving on to Jonathan Reed, the receiver out of Seattle, Washington. He's a guy that I'm looking forward to because we need some guys who can create separation in the passing game. 5'9", 190. He's a little undersized, but I don't care about that because we're going to need some guys who, like I said, can create separation. Going down to number 5, Trey Jefferson. He's 6'6", 235. Probably our best boomer bust guy. I don't know how good he's going to be, but as a D-end, 56 overall, he's going to be pretty good coming in right now. And we'll see what these guys grade out to be because all of these custom recruits, nobody is above 55 overall, so that those overalls are probably going to jump down a little bit. Nobody's going to come in above 55. But looking at Sean Johnson, you can see he's just very, very fast, and that's the thing. That's all he has to hang on right now. But if I give him the ball in open space, he's going to be a guy that I can depend on. And especially in the short passing game, what we saw with Cameron Yates last year, hopefully we can continue that come this year. Sean Armstrong, the outside linebacker from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. He's the 191th ranked outside linebacker. He's pretty good. I don't know what he does well right now, but we'll see. Taylor Vasquez, like I said, he's got that very, very strong arm. We'll see how he comes in from Hanover, New Hampshire, but we'll see how great he is at leading the team if he can work on that accuracy. Justin Hollerake is going to be our number 10 prospect from Columbia, South Carolina. We actually do want to get him because we do need some recruits from South Carolina, so I do have him ranked a little higher, even though he's not the best overall guy. We do want to have him strictly for having another pipeline guy. Atlas Hodum is a good outside linebacker right now. He's rated as a 2-star. I don't know if he has the skills of a 2-star, but that's what they're rating him as. And I think it's because he's from Tennessee. He's from the Nashville area, so he gets a lot of college looks from there. So they are going to go after him pretty aggressively. Robert Arnold from West Virginia. He's a pretty good run blocking center. Look out for him. Reese Vanoy is going to round out the top 13 as Caleb Stevens is there at tight end, 6'4", all of him. He's going to be, like I said, that clone of a prototypical tight end. We'll see what he turns out to be. Charles Gomez at free safety, and it's going to be hard for him to compete for playing time, so I imagine he's going to get redshirted. A lot of these guys are actually going to get redshirted. We'll see, though, as the season progresses, who can play and who can't. So moving on to Gabe Goat from Ann Arbor, Michigan. He's a solid cornerback. He doesn't have an elite speed, but he's just solid. I think he's going to be a solid guy that we can redshirt and look at for the future. Michael Harris is that 6'5", 340 guy. He's got raw power, but doesn't really have the technique. We'll see how it goes with him right now. He is the only guy that has us in the top 5 schools, I think. And that's kind of unfortunate because a lot of these guys were hoping that they can, they want to come to the school. That's the thing about last year's recruiting class. A lot of those guys actually wanted to come to our school, but this year is a little different. So now rounding out the top 20, we did have a few guys here. Since we had some guys that locked us out, we had a couple guys added here. So 1-star JUCO, Adam Edwards from North Carolina, and this was kind of a guy that I thought could help us out right away. So that's why I recruited him at 63 overall. We'll see what his ratings come out to be, but unlocking one of them right now, he's at 65 now. So that's going to be a pretty good JUCO coming in. Another JUCO here, 68 overall, John Blair from South Carolina. So hopefully, we get these Carolina guys, but you see we unlocked his ratings there. He goes down to a 65, but as a JUCO, I fully expect him to come in and compete for the starting job right away. And then the last guy from Pennsylvania, we saw him in Pennsylvania and we kind of decided to give him a look. He's going to come in as a true freshman, not a JUCO. The number 90 middle linebacker, he's a coverage guy, but unlocking his ratings, he does go up to 57. So we'll see how it goes going forward for him. So that's going to do it for this episode. You see, we have a good crop of recruits coming in, and hopefully we do get them to commit, because last year's recruiting class was pretty strong. We had a ton of commits, we had a ton of seniors graduating, and it's gonna be kind of cool seeing how these guys progress throughout the year. So that's gonna do it. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and we'll get back into the action next episode. So hit subscribe and hit that like button, because we gotta build on this season, get better each week, and hopefully these incoming freshmen will be impressed by the season we have. So let's get into some more action. So stay tuned. Let's get it. Let's go.